The problem was that the transmitter would glitch, and as you were in transit from time 1 to time 2, the tunnel would collapse.
Yeah.
And you're lost.
Okay. You might be lost intact, you might be lost in a form of being atomically disintegrated, in which case you were totally lost.
But the philosophical question is valid. I mean, where you would go back in the past, could you alter the future?
Sure you can.
Of course.
That's the
reason we exist in a time loop right now. What we do from one end to what Montauk penetrated in the past to what we do to where Montauk penetrated in the future is now fixed. Because it's fed back on itself. It's now fixed. It is fixed. It's fixed right now. It has to be because of that. It has to be fixed.
You went forward in time?
Went forward and backwards both. One of the first things they did with the raw recruits, as it were, after they passed the initial tests and examination to see if they were suitable for the program, and they were found suitable. I don't know what the reason was, but I do remember that one of the things they did was they sent every raw recruit forward into the future to a year around 6030 AD, and it was always to the same point, someplace in the future in the middle of an abandoned city with a square where there was still a statue in solid gold. And they would ask them to look at this and see what they saw after they came back. And they interpreted whatever the individual saw, for what purpose I'm not sure, but this was one instance where apparently all recruits were sent to this point in time to see what expecting to find a different answer, and from person to person, I don't know.
Were they equipped with protective suits or equipment?
No, ordinary clothes.
That's if they were going to a friendly environment.
Yeah.
Well, if you're sending someone to the future, you know, into a nuclear...
Well, they first would look into the future through the vortex. They could sample the air, they could sample everything on this side.
Now, are there different potential futures that people could be sent to?
No, because once you make the first connection into the future, it's fixed. Anything from that future point back is fixed.
But what I'm saying is, are there different alternate futures that they could go into?
The first projection, yes, there's multiple different futures. But once the first projection is made into the future, from that point back, from the future, let's say they project from 83 to the future.
Okay.
From this point back, it's now fixed. Because the fact that he went from here to here has now fixed the time.
Even after they turn off the machine or whatever?
Because the fact they turned off the machine does not alter that he was here and then came back.
Right.
Then that sounds like you couldn't change the present by sending someone to the past.
Yes,
Definitely.
you can, yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
You can change the present by sending someone into the future, too, for that matter.
Yep.
How do you change the present by sending someone into the future?
Under certain conditions, you can.
Well, it's a closed loop, you can.
Cameron, had you gone into the future at all?
Yes. I've seen the horse, which Al speaks of. It's a...
Oh, the golden statue.
The golden statue. It's a horse with no rider. It's an abandoned city. It's sort of like a dream state. It's a very peculiar, where there is virtually no dynamic ability ongoing. It's a very stationary, almost frozen state.
No markings on the statue, no... Did you know what it was? What it was?
I don't think I can say.
Beyond that, do you want to make any statements about anything else in the future that might interest people, or that you could talk about without doing damage?
Only in the fact that when there is a function that is presented ahead, there are increments that, from that particular point in time, which was propagated from, there will be effect back to the initial point of reference. That is the nature of the beast, as Preston spoke.
Yeah.
Once you have a reference,
Once you close the loop.
whether it be ahead or behind, that doesn't necessarily mean that that particular point in the future cannot be changed. It is everything and nothing is possible. So
If there were changes that were going on in the future, you can't really do much about that yourself, could you?
That's correct.
Could it be just like a projection or something, or not the real future? Some kind of
if Duncan,
on the mind?
To answer the question, depending upon what realism set of functions, however they be real or manifested or surrealistic, depending what function and what time line, there are many timelines and functions of realism. Depending where you're going and where you attribute the point of reference, that determines how it will affect, as let's say you and I here, as to us here directly, the realistic point, how much, let's say it's a manifested realism, that could have some effect here, but not that dramatically. As something, let's say, us sitting here 20 years ahead, that is in our space and framework and function of time, so that would affect us more dramatically than just something that was sort of created.
Okay, say that one psychic sets up a vortex to the future and we use that and then we shut that one down. If another psychic sets up a vortex to the future, will it go to the same future or can it go to a different one?
they go to wherever the function is generated to go to.
That's correct.
Okay.
There had to be people who were really controlling this very exactly and specifically.
Oh, yeah,
Sure, very definitely.
People who were really controlling this very exactly and specifically.
Oh, yeah,
Sure, very definitely.
But what I'm saying is it'll go to a different place in time, but will it be on the same timeline, the same reality as the first psychic's vortex?
As long as it's before the most furthest point they projected
Okay.
ahead, yes, it will be. In fact, the government is using that today to, the existing time machines still flow in the Montauk line.
Okay, once they have done that, can we go back in time and change the past to change the present, and then the future will be changed?
You already did it. Once the loop flows, everybody does automatically what they're supposed to do.
The loop has been closed once you've gone to the future.
Right.
So we don't have to worry about our present being changed now,
No, it can't be changed.
because we've already looped to the future through it.
And through the past.
Right.
If, let's say this is 83, let's say this is year 1, this is year 1000. And you go from 83 to year 1, from 83 to year, 2000. Anywhere between 2000 and 1, now you set it back on itself. That means
So it's locked.
whatever the people do in here, they're going to do forever and ever. We're in an endless do loop in the computer right now.
What is the furthest forward anyone has traveled that you know of?
10,000.
So that's all locked through 10,000.
Unless the vortex
Describe
can be broken.
can you describe any recollection of anybody you know that has traveled that far into the future?
Nobody has ever gotten that far into the future and gotten into a real, almost like a running life situation, so we don't know what it is. As Duncan described, you always appear to be like a dream state where they hardly ever encounter any other people.
What about, all right, as far as going into the future and encountering people on Earth, okay, how far ahead is that?
Near term.
I believe they've gone about 10,000 years ahead.
But you still...
And encountered people.
No, what I'm saying is encountered something other than a dreamlike or a sublimated state. Interacted with
How
it.
far can you go and get a tangible, real future? Or can you do that?
No one's gotten a tangible, real future beyond 2012.
2012, 13, 14,
somewhere in there.
depends.
Does that indicate that maybe things have changed so radically at that time that there isn't anything else to see?
Something's happened.
There is a very, very abrupt wall there with nothing on the other side.
But the prophecies speak of the earth changes at those times.
Curious, isn't it?
In your travels, did you ever, Cameron, learn so much that for yourself it really was of value to you and not so much to others, but...
Okay, you have to realize the intelligence at the particular time. I now can sit here and speak of this in a matter-of-fact terms.
Right.
When this the project having to do with out in Montauk was ongoing, I was very much not myself. In control of other, control